You're now watching a clip from the Inspired by show. You can watch the full episode on our YouTube channel or listen on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to head over there, leave us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed it, and follow the show.
Where did the passion for FEA come from?
So I had the idea to create like a community of women in business. I think it was in 2008, because I'd finished university by that point and I was building this phone unlocking business, and I would go on. And so basically I was living in an apartment in Birmingham and my second bedroom was my office, and I lived by myself. And so there would be days when I wouldn't leave the apartment and I was just working and working, and I felt really isolated. And I would go along to like networking events, and it would honestly be mostly full of men in suits, and there certainly wasn't any young people there. And so I would have like the occasional really off experience where someone would just completely disregard me. And I just remember thinking, like, surely there's something for women. And I just wanted to create a community or get to know other people doing similar things, so we could just like get a glass of wine and sit down and just chat about our business problems. And I just couldn't find it. And so I had the idea in 2008, but I remember starting a website, and then I just thought, who the heck is gonna want this? And I felt like I had so much imposter syndrome around it, because the phone unlocking business wasn't me. I was a reseller selling someone else's service. So it was fine to sell. It was easy to sell it. But when it came to something from my heart and soul, it was my idea, it was my thing, like actually putting it out there was terrifying. And so I kind of would buy domain names, start websites, and then do nothing. And that happened for a good few years. And that was around the time when I just felt like I was really spiraling, and I felt frustrated with myself. It was like this feeling of more was bubbling up. The idea was bubbling up, and it was like I was just constantly batting it away and like so afraid to do something with it, but it kind of kept pestering me. And this is around the time when the heart palpitations started, and I felt like everything was just saying, just bloody do it, like just stop putting this off and just do it. And I was ignoring it. And then in 2011, eventually I was just like, I'm going to do it. I just had this moment where I just like knew I had to do it. And so I came up with a different name, started a different website, and just never looked back. I remember that Monday sitting at my desk and just feeling like a new energy of like, I'm going to do this now. So that's where it came from. But it was a challenge to get out of my own way to actually get it going, which I think is the case for so many people.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, there are so many people probably listening or watching this, Carrie, that are thinking, that's me. I've had that idea in my head for 3 years too. Or,
yeah.
And you just have to go with that feeling when it feels right. What was it like for you when you then launched this feeling, this thought, this idea that you'd had for 3 years? What happened next?
It honestly just felt really exciting. And I just started so I put the website together, and for me, building out the website and was kind of a process of just helping me to get clarity around like what I was doing. And then I started to network. So I joined like local networking groups, and I actually found some ones that were just for women by that point, which was really nice. And I met some really nice people, and I went on LinkedIn and I started reaching out to other women to ask if they had a business and if they had a story to share. And so I started this series on the blog called How She Did It. And it was crazy because like within a month or something, I had these stories flooding in from women all over the world. I remember this one person, she was in Hong Kong and she was sharing her story with me. I think she was called Emma. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I just met somebody in Hong Kong who's building a business and she's sharing her story with me. So I started publishing all these stories on the website. And then I remember starting like a little group on LinkedIn and just like networking, connecting with people. And then I remember whenever an opportunity came up or someone invited me along to something on LinkedIn, I always like said yes. I just was in a phase of just, yes, I'm just going to go for it and just see what it's about. And I remember one time being invited to be a judge on a panel, which was so random because I was like, okay, like I am no one. Why the heck am I being a judge? And I remember going down on this panel and it was at like a Google workspace in London. And I met a guy who was the head judge of the panel, called Michael Heyman. And we like chatted and got on. And then I think I met him again at the next round of this competition that was going on. And he then nominated me for an award because he ran this festival called Made. And I won the award, which was crazy because I wasn't making any money. And I was up on the stage with like 26 other entrepreneurs who were all doing amazing things. And I felt like such a fraud. But I won the award and I got this helicopter mentoring session with Lord Billamoria. I remember being invited to this like summit at Chatsworth House with all these amazing entrepreneurs that were like doing so well. And again, like me thinking, what am I doing here? And this used to be a good story, not so much a good story anymore. Prince Andrew was the special guest. And I was sat on the table with Prince Andrew, and he then asked me to sit. I ended up sitting next to him having dinner, and all I kept thinking was like, you really have the Queen's teeth. Like, it was so random, but it was like, what the hell? Like, a few years earlier, I'd just been so stuck in my own way, going in circles, and then there I was, sat next to Prince Andrew at Chatsworth House having dinner, and it was just saying. And then I got invited to Buckingham Palace to talk about entrepreneurship in the UK, and I was sat around this table with entrepreneurs. Like, one of them, I think, had sold out of his business for like 800 million. I still wasn't making any money at this point. And so it just was crazy, just from like, I felt like I finally gave myself permission to go for it. And I opened myself up to the opportunities and the possibilities. And I just started to make connections and have conversations. And it just led to all this cool stuff. And I've seen that happen to so many other people. I think when you've got like an idea and you just give yourself permission. And I think as well, like, I do think when it's like a real, like heartfelt idea, for me, it wasn't just about making money this time around. For me, it was about making a difference. It was about really trying to figure out how I could add value and just help people. And I think that was a game changer for me as well, just in the sense of, I think I really believe that when you're fully aligned, with you're fully aligned with what you're meant to be doing, the universe just kind of opens up. And when you say yes and you go for it, like, the most amazing things can open, like opportunities and all sorts can just flow to you like with so much more ease. And which is funny because in 2009, I created a little challenge for myself called Mission to Make $1 Million in 365 days. And I wanted to make $1 million in a year. And I documented it. I set up a website and I documented the journey, and it got to like day 66 and it was my last entry. And it was basically me saying like, this is impossible. Like, I'm never going to do it. And obviously didn't do it. And it's really interesting because I realized that I think, like, for me, when I was making it all about me making money and me becoming a millionaire, like, it was just impossible. But when I switched and I focused on how can I just show up and help other people? How can I show up and have valuable conversations? How can I just show up as the best version of me and share my ideas in the best way? Like, when I started to act from that place, that's when things started to happen and the momentum started to build. And ultimately what led to the most success. So yeah, it's been such an interesting journey. Yeah, it's been crazy.